Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining this session and welcome. I hope everyone is safe and doing well. Before we get started on this session today, I wanted to take a moment to talk about a couple of challenges that we face that actually slows down our overall automation process. Automation lacks the speed due to these challenges that we have in the process. And if we look at the challenges and we try to categorize or bucketize these challenges, they would fall under more or less in three areas. I'm sharing the visual on the screen. The first one is complexity. Then second one is lack of visibility and the lack of decision-making ability in our process. So complexity comes from the product changes and the impact due to all these changes. If you do not have the right platform to track your changes and the impact analysis is not done properly, I think your automation can also slow down. Going to the next factor, that is lack of visibility. Most of the time I have seen, the QA team or the automation team struggles to prioritize or to kind of, find out what are the test cases that they must automate in a particular sprint or particular release. So that's the kind of challenge that needs to be addressed to enhance the speed of automation. And the last one is your process should be smart. The conventional KPI based QA process is not something that would fit to the continuous testing or the kind of the speed that we are actually expecting in today's automation ecosystem. We need to bring intelligence to our process that will help us in bringing that fact-based decision-making abilities. We are going to address this problem statement in today's session. The product that we are going to showcase addresses these three critical issues or the challenges that we face. We are going to talk about a test design accelerating platform called Conformiq. And we have Mark Trimmer and Tejaswi from Conformiq, who will take us through the product capabilities, how this product is helping hundreds, thousands of global customers of Conformiq in terms of bringing the right level of automation speed in their organizations. So Mark, welcome, and thank you so much for joining me in this session today, and I really appreciate it. It's an honor to have you on this session. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your responsibilities at Conformiq and tell us about your little bit of journey in Conformiq? I think that would be a good point to start. Mark.
Troy, thanks for having me and the team here today. I appreciate the opportunity to kind of share my ideas and the approach that we take to making the testing process more efficient, more effective. So I'm Mark Kramer. I'm the CEO of Conformiq. I've been at Conformiq for about 10 years now. We at Conformiq are very focused on really enhancing the entire software testing process. We do that by focusing on the test design, automatically creating test cases, and driving that to automated test execution. And that's kind of been our value add to the testing process in the industry over the last 20 years.
Why do you think test design acceleration should be a focus area or a specialization area, and your tool is kind of bringing more speed in terms of test case design acceleration? Any thoughts around that?
Test case design, at least the way we define it at Conformiq, is really about automatically generating test cases in the most optimal and efficient way. And it's not just creating those test cases to ensure coverage and ensure that you're testing what the requirements have been defined, but it's all about, also is about driving those test cases that we've created into an automated managed testing framework. So you get the efficiency of the test case design, the confidence that you're testing the right thing in any part of the software design lifecycle, and you can do it in a way that automatically creates test cases. Automatically creates test cases for automated execution. So you get, not just from the test design standpoint, you're really enhancing the entire testing process.
Got it. Okay, no, that makes sense. So primarily, Conformiq helps the QA team to bring the right level of speed and efficiency by automating the test creation from the requirement, with reference to the requirements in some requirement tracking tools like ALM or similar tools in the ecosystem, right? And I think that makes sense, Mark. Thank you very much for those insights. So with that, Mark, would you like to take us through your organization profile a little bit, tell us a little bit about your historical journey so far, and that would be very helpful to our followers.
Sure, let me do that. So if you look at the history of Conformiq, we've been at this for a long time, and that really has allowed us to build an organization that is positioned globally, to address our larger customers, and also support not only our large customers but our partners in delivering the solution, which are the service providers, primarily in India. And then what's happened over that time frame is we have really developed and evolved the technology to really deliver an integrated, intelligent, scalable solution to address the software testing and test execution needs for our customers and our partners. With that, I want to take a minute and talk about how we see the challenges in the testing market, and then we'll talk about how we address that. Fundamentally, we look at testing that requires the process to start with requirements, and without requirements, you really don't know what you're testing and or what you're building. So we're all about ensuring that the requirements are reasonably well defined, and we use that to drive the answer to efficiently testing. So if you start with requirements and we aid you in getting those requirements well defined, and you need to have a process in place to manage and link back to those requirements throughout the entire testing process. So if you don't have the ability to deal with different types of software development approaches, whether it's agile or waterfall, or you really need to have the process in place to link back to those requirements, and we enable that. And then it comes down to, of course, the doing it efficiently. So if you don't figure out how to automate that process in a way that you can get rapid, appropriate results, you will have significantly more cost and time associated with testing in the software lifecycle. So you have to have the process, and you also need to do it efficiently to where you don't need to test everything all the time. You need to focus on the parts that need to be tested, and then you need the visibility into the process, and you need to manage it effectively. And I call that trust but verify. So you need to ensure that you're testing and the test pass so that you can get efficient results. So these are the challenges that we see from a testing standpoint in the marketplace. And we'll go to the next slide to talk about how we at a high level enable that with our solution. Oddly enough, we start with requirements. We take those requirements, we represent them in a model, and then we really have built this intelligent engine that looks at those requirements in a way that we can develop the right set, an optimized set of test cases that ensure the coverage of the requirements, and then integrate it with the appropriate data to create the test cases that then can be automated. And you'll be able to see that in the demo. A key part of that is leveraging either world-class solutions or existing testing products that our target customers may already have. So we have a very sophisticated integration scheme that works from requirements all the way through execution, test management, documentation, and so on. And this is something that we find is key, particularly getting to that issue we talked about before in terms of the challenges in terms of managing the process. The solutions are out there. We leverage those world-class solutions and integrate to ensure that the information and the tests that we provide deliver the value that's needed. And that gets us to, well, what value do we deliver? Fundamentally, you'll hear this from everybody in terms of increased efficiency, improved time to market, your ability to make informed decisions. But what we deliver probably more than uniquely than all the other products combined is the ability to tie your requirements to what you've been testing. And this is particularly key in the compliance areas where you have to assure regulatory organizations that you've done the testing efficiently and thoroughly to ensure that what the software solution being developed is validated by the requirements of those organizations. So, in a way, we provide the documentation required to make sure the results are good. And finally, before we get to the demo, the way we see the future, as I mentioned, starting with requirements, and we do that with a model, is we really tie together and envision that your requirements are a model or your models are requirements, and we'll provide a framework on top of the one we have today that will link that model to requirements and pretty much make that creation process the same. So if you have your requirements, you can automatically generate models, or if you have models, you can automatically tie that back to requirements and make that interactive for our users. And that drives the entire process. So that gives you the quality, the verification, and the efficiency to deliver the results that I just talked about.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for the nice summary about your platform, about the organization. That was a great summary, Mark. Thank you very much. So my next question would be, who are your customers primarily using your platform and to bring some additional productivity around test case design?
Today, our primary customers are around banking, finance, insurance, where that compliance requirement is important, where QA is critical. Not just testing, but they have to validate the quality of the solution that they're building because of the importance of the data and the information that's being managed by these companies. So banks, life science, which is also critical. These organizations require and the ability to demonstrate how the test or the application is being tested, tied back to the requirements that have been defined for their development. So this is critical. What I envision in the future, when we simplify that integration between modeling and requirements, that organizations will get the benefit of this approach to testing pretty much for any type of application. But today, it's these larger organizations, the global companies that are in banking, insurance, and finance.
Got it. Does Conformiq bring any kind of optimization for any technology, or it is designed for any of the GUI layers like mobile, browser, and so on?
Yeah, that's one of the unique values of Conformiq. We're really kind of platform independent in terms of how we generate our test cases. So if you have the requirements, you can basically drive the test case generation, for the API layer, the GUI layer, desktop, a mainframe. It really doesn't matter. Mobile, any application. These test cases are created based on requirements independent of this technology.
Makes sense. No, thank you, Mark. I think that makes perfectly sense, Mark, and I think we can go for the demo. Tejaswi, you are going to take us through the
yes.
platform overview.
Okay. Yeah, hi, Tejaswi here. I take care of global pre-sales and post-sales. I generally help people, our customers, get trained, as well as during the implementation if they have any questions. So yeah, getting into the demo, I'm just showing a sample application here. This will be the basis of all the rest of the demo. So this is a Parabank sample application, a web-based application. This is the welcome screen and username and password. I'm clicking login. So this will be a successful login, but if I'm not giving any username, then this is an invalid username. When I'm clicking login, it will show me another. So the very, very simple two flows that we will be talking about. So when we are talking about a model-based testing, so there are two aspects that we treat. One is the visual elements on the screen. So this is all the link, a text field, a button, and whatever else comes on the screen. These are all visual elements. We define that in structure diagrams. We will talk about it in a while. I also walked you through two flows wherein I gave a proper username and password, click login, it went inside. So this is one flow. Whereas if I'm not giving any username, there was an error message, that is another flow. This is a tying up of the actions. Depending on what I enter into the username, there is two different behavior. So these are flows for us, and we treat them in activity diagrams. Now, let me just walk you through the concepts itself before I go through the end-to-end demo, end-to-end flow of the how to use a creator. Now, I'm just creating a new project. I'll just call that as demo project. So this is a sample project I have created. There are two structures as I just described. The one is the structure diagram. I'm creating a sample structure diagram file here, and these are the elements that I can use to define my structure diagram elements. I can also use the same elements from the palette here. So this is one screen for me. I'm going to call it welcome screen, the one that we just saw. And then there is a form. I'm calling credentials form, which will house the two fields. One is username, and the other is a password. And then I have one login button on the screen itself. And then there are lots of hyperlinks. I'm just going to call one here for the example purposes, register. So this is how I can continue to build the structure diagram elements. Now let me just give a demonstration of how to create the activity diagrams. Activity diagrams where I'm defining the actions itself. Now, so every activity diagram will start with a start node and then an activity. So this will be a welcome screen related action, and here are the actions that are available. Okay, save this. Let me save this. and then all the elements which I defined on the structure diagrams are available here. So this is the first display screen, welcome screen. DS stands for display screen, and then the next activity, which I'm going to call it credentials activity, where I'm going to talk about how the behavior appears. So this is first I'm filling the fill form, credentials form with the username and password, and then I'm clicking the login button. So this is one simple flow for me, and I'm just tying them together like this. So this is done. This is how I continue to update the entire model. Now, with this credentials form, we talked about two different types of input data, the valid username and password and invalid username. So here I can enter the different sets of data, and I'll say valid username and invalid username, and then password is valid. So this is what we just saw. So this is the basic activity structure diagram and activity diagram. This is how it looks. And if I continue to do this behavior, so this is how my entire application will look like. So lots of structure diagram elements defining the entire application there, and different flows that I can go through on that sample application. We just talked about two sample flows, and this is here. So this is login flow. Login has both the valid valid username and valid password. And I'm making a decision here. If it is valid username and password, I'm successfully logging in. Otherwise, it will show me an error message. So tying up all these flows, I also have a parallel element register, clicking the register hyperlink, and then whatever flows that come. So this is the entire model. Now let's go through the end-to-end flow that we just, how do the user work on the creator. Now, we spoke about starting from the requirements. So the requirements are here. So let me just minimize this for a second. So here we have requirement providers. So I can bring up requirements from one of these source systems. So we have integration with HPQC, IBM DOORS, Jira, Rally, and we can do from Excel requirements, and also I can do ad hoc requirements. So now I have some Excel requirements already pulled into this for the demonstration purposes, and a lot of ad hoc requirements. Now, once I build the model, then I build the structure diagram, then I build the activity diagram, and this is how I'm linking them. I'll just drag a requirement action, and then start entering the requirement details in the properties view. So this is how I continue to do the modeling. So every element, every flow can be defined as requirements, can be linked to the requirements so that we don't miss any requirements. And once the requirements are all set, it will all be marked with a tick mark, indicating that the traceability has happened. So once we have the activity diagram and the requirements linked, the next step is for the test case generation. So this is what we call the test design automation. With a click of a button, the test case generation process starts from the backend, and the test cases should be generated any minute. Yes, so this is my entire list of 25 test cases, and this middle pane here gives me the list of all the test cases against the different test targets. Every element on the activity diagram, including the data, the flow, the decision box branches. So everything is a target for me, and everything is covered. So this green tick mark shows me everything. And for a traceability matrix, I have these requirements also listed here as targets, and I can see which test cases cover which requirements. So this is all the X marks, test case number 1 to 25. So this is one way to verify the coverage. And the second way to verify the coverage is here. So the top right pane we call the model browser. And once we click on a test case on the left-hand pane, so we will know which flow it is covering. Now, on the bottom right pane, I have the list of all the steps, the same steps that gets exported. So this is all in the DB. Now, the next step, export. How do I export? To which formats I export? Mm-hmm. So here comes this scripting backends for us. So we have by default integration with APM, Excel, Gherkin, QCLM for manual test cases, QTP, Robo Framework, Selenium, Java, and even Tosca for all the automation execution platforms. I also, I can even export into an Excel scripter. So now I have already selected the Excel scripter and Gherkin scripter. Now, if I click export, okay, let me just enable the Selenium as well. Selenium Java, sorry. Enable, and I'm disabling the Gherkin. Clicking export.
So it will create the Selenium script, automatically, or what would be the output when you say export into Selenium?
Yes. So here, this is a Selenium Java folder that gets created by default, and this is the SRC folder. Now, these are 3 different folders. This is all the page objects, all the element description reside in this page objects. And this is a test suite. All the test cases in the sequence of actions, they're all defined in this test suite folder with each of the Java files. And these are the supporting files. Now, this set of folders can be imported into the Selenium project. And the only extra thing that needs to happen is identifying the XPaths. So once the automation tester identifies the XPaths, then this is ready to go.
Got it.
So that's the difference. We generate the automation scripts, but we will not know, because this is only a model, because we are not actually working on the application itself. This is a simulation of the application under test. So we can just get the flow with the sequence of steps, but to execute the steps on the application, we need the object IDs. And that's what is missing here. Once this list is created and these basic updates are done, so the scripts are ready to be executed.
Got it. So we can have this even without the application existing, right?
Yes.
Even the application is in design phase, we can, create, we can design the test cases, even looking at the design documents as well, right?
Yes, yes. And that's where this requirement traceability helps. So any changes to the source requirements application system, so we'll be able to pull that with a refresh. We will be able to know what requirement has been updated, deleted, or added. And based on that, we can correspondingly update our activity diagram.
Got it. Got it.
Okay, and
one more question, Tejaswi.
Yes.
You are pulling the requirement from a requirement, management tool, or maybe a application lifecycle management tool. So what if things change in those, platforms? Let's say in ALM, the requirement changes. So
yes,
how do you manage that?
So this refresh button will pull all the changes from the requirements source system. So if a requirement gets added, that comes up here as a new entry with a green mark, and it does not have the tick mark in the model. This column here, like this tick mark is here. So that new requirement will not have it and it will be highlighted in a green color. Okay. So that's how the user will know that it has been a new requirement. Obsolete requirements, it will be marked in red. And modified requirements, it will just show it in yellow. And looking at those markers, it will be a trigger to the user to update the model accordingly.
Makes sense. Thank you. That's sweet.
Okay. You also made one good point when the application does not exist. So to do that, we also have this capability of Gherkin language modeling. Now, in this case, these are all called business activities within Creator. And here you can see these are all given, when, then.
Yes.
So it can be defined at a very high level, and then it can be broken down as and when the application definition, application behavior definition, as well as the UI definition becomes more clear. So the BAs can start working on the full end-to-end flow with a high-level picture like this, as and when more definition is done for the application. So it can be broken down and even can be defined with, replaced with, this is GUI modeling. So individual action based. So these are all individual, space, fill form, click button. So these actions actually help in our output, keyword based formats. So we'll be able to export which actions. If this kind of modeling is done, but then if this screen definitions are not even available, then the user can start with the BRM, or if the team is preferring to use a BDD Cucumber framework for even automation execution. So that facility is also available.
Right.
So now,
and that makes perfect sense for the agile development, And that brings a lot of modularity and speed also to the test case design phase.
Yes. Yes.
Super.
So we saw how to pull the requirements, and we saw from the requirements how to build the structure diagrams and activity diagrams and link this to, and then generate the test cases, look for the traceability within the application, and how do we generate the output, whichever format you want. And we do support custom scripter. Now for us, all the data, whatever the steps of the test cases along with its data elements are all in the database. And any custom coding that is required, if the new customer has their own framework, we can generate the output in the format they want. So we'll be able to provide them as much boost as we can. And it's all about handling the data afterwards.
Got it.
Okay, and I would like to walk you through a couple of other things. Mark mentioned about optimization, right? So we handle two different types of optimization. One is the data optimization, one is the path optimization. Now, path optimization, what is it? So this, let me just rearrange this for better visibility. Now, so this is all a activity diagram flow described here. Now this flow starts from these two flows, request flow and open new account, start from the same event node and ends at the same merge node. But these are two different paths. We can arrive at it from two different ways. So these are two variants for us. And we define these steps, which are common for both these flows, to be tested only once. We feel that is enough. So we generate one test case which ends here and ends at the merge node. The other test case, maybe this flow or the other flow as well, it goes till end to end, so that these steps which follow after the merge are not repeated. So fewest steps to the end complete the requirements. So that means lowest cost for the QA team. So this is one kind of optimization. This is path optimization. Any matrix application going from screen 1 to screen 2 in any number of ways, we should be able to generate the minimum number of test cases trying to cover the same elements. So that is path optimization. But again, there might be requirements from the customer. I need end-to-end test cases. There might be some validations which might be dependent on how the user comes to that place. So yes, we provide that flexibility in the Conformiq options. We can generate the end-to-end test cases, enable only finalized ones.
And this activity diagram, it gives the complete end-to-end picture of the business flows for the application, right?
Yes.
So one diagram for one application, one project. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So some reusable components. If the application is big, we can divide them into sub-activity diagrams. So I can create another activity diagram here. I can call it sub-AD. And if the login flow is common, then I'll just say so this is my sub-activity diagram, and then I will just remove these things from here, call the sub-activity diagram, which will be existing, and this will be a reusable component for me across multiple ADs.
Right, right.
So that also reduces the effort from the automation perspective. Yes, please.
Right, right. Yeah, this is more like, in order to simplify your diagram, you can have multiple, sub-activity diagrams and bring more reusability to your overall business process. That makes sense. Yeah.
The other important aspect is the data optimization. So this is a simple flow. I have a query form which has 2 values in the location field and 5 values in the product type, different types of insurance products and age. And then I want to know, based on the combinations of these values, whether I'm eligible for that application or for that particular product or not. So this is the decision box, US and 1960. So now I want to test with multiple combinations. By default, just 5 test cases are enough to cover these 5, and these 2 values are getting covered within those 5, these 2 sets of values. So that is the most optimal number of test cases, 5. But if the data combinations is important to test, then we provide options to increase the number of test cases, data combinations, by giving this combinatorial action. So I can have 2-way all pairs or all-way, which is all combinations. And if I try to generate the test cases, my output will look something like this. So if by default we generate 5, and pairwise we generate 15, little more, but not exhaustive. But if we really want all combinations, we can still generate 30 test cases per. So this is the data optimization rules. So we provide optimization, but also provide the flexibility for the user if they really want to do some exhaustive testing. So yes, that is the high-level overview of the optimization techniques we use.
Yep. So what I could see here is Tejaswi, like Conformiq is sitting between an ALM tool and an automation platform, right? Accelerating, the test requirement getting transformed into your test design quickly, and the designs are fed into the automation tool quickly, and then the test cases are created there, executed there, right?
Yes.
That is the whole flow that I can see.
Yes,
I got it. So taking that to our DevOps ecosystem, how do you think this fits into the continuous testing process?
Okay, so we integrate with Jenkins. We can provide say for example, the users are working on the model, multiple users on a single model. Yes, it gets possible via Git integration. And once these models are put into Git, we have Git integration anyway. So just a quick look on how to provide the integrations team, share Conformiq project, and I'm going for Git. So once the Git integrations exist, every check-in by any of the user is tracked on the Git via webhook. Those webhook can be captured onto the Jenkins. Now, this is all outside of Creator, but what we can do is we can schedule the Jenkins job once in a day, or we can schedule the Jenkins job on every check-in. Every check-in the user does, the Jenkins job can be configured to generate the test cases from the backend. Once the test cases are generated, then it will be fed into the execution platform. The test cases can be put into a common folder where the execution platform can take it and execute. So yes, a lot of other integrations are required. Some of the setup needs to be done at the Jenkins end, and as well as the script execution. The script execution platform must also enable it for scriptless execution, but we provide that ability.
Got it. Yep.
Does it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that helps. That helps. No, thank you so much, Tejaswi, for that. So one more question I wanted to ask is, Mark, in case we have any questions around trial licenses, do you have somebody that our followers can reach out?
Yeah, just do an inquiry on our website for a trial, and somebody will follow up with them, and within 24 hours.
Great. All right. So I think that was pretty much from my side. Team, thank you so much, Mark. Thank you again for taking time and joining, Tejaswi. It was a great demo. Thank you for sharing your insights and the platform capabilities. With that, I think we can wrap up. Thank you for joining again.
Yeah, thank you again for the invitation.